If you're tuning into the College World Series this week, you might be interested in what MLB draft prospects might be on the field, who to tune into. This is part two of my mini series highlighting my top ranked draft prospects that will be in Omaha this week, as well as a few under the radar names to watch for as well. Part one, feel free to go check that out. Highlighted the right side of the bracket: Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, and Georgia. We'll start with Ole Miss. The Rebels feature two of my favorite pitching prospects at the moment: Taylor Rabe and Cade Townsend. Both of these arms will factor in a big way for Ole Miss this week. Cade Townsend is a little more established in the draft space than Rabe at the moment. Townsend is a guy that I mocked ninth overall to the Braves in my most recent mock draft. He has slowed down a little bit in the second half of the regular season and into the postseason. I still think this is a pitcher that can go anywhere from the middle to the back of the first round. Draft eligible sophomore, projectable, really good mover on the mound, super athletic. And the thing that really separates him from a lot of pitchers in this class is the kitchen sink pitch mix. It's 7 pitches, all of which he has pretty decent feel for. It's 3 different breaking balls, 2 different fastballs. He can run the heater up into the upper 90s. And a strike thrower as well. And speaking of strike throwers, Taylor Rabe, one of the recent draft risers in this class, wasn't really on the horizon of the industry earlier in the cycle. Redshirt sophomore, so he's the age of a junior, but this is just his second season at Ole Miss. Just a very elite strike thrower, despite the fact that he started the season in the bullpen. He made only 2 starts last year as a redshirt freshman, 10 starts this year. Like I said, started the season in the bullpen. Has walked only 3.9% of hitters he has faced, which is really unheard of for a guy that transitioned from the bullpen into his starting role, also striking out 34.5% of the hitters he's faced. He's got what I think is a 70 grade fastball, runs it up into the upper 90s, can really spin it as well, can locate it at the top of the zone. The delivery does also create somewhat of a unique look for opposing hitters. The breaking stuff is coming along for Rabe, but he also does have a really good cutter that he's shown some advanced feel for, and then a changeup that is coming along as well. Townsend comes in ranked 27th on my top 100 draft board. Taylor Rabe comes in at 65 at the moment. Moving on to North Carolina, you've got 2 guys in my top 100. Right-handed pitcher Ryan Lynch comes in at 78, and then shortstop Jake Schaffner comes in at 83. Ryan Lynch has kind of been the ace of this weekend rotation throughout the season, obviously followed by Jason DeCaro, another draft guy, probably right outside of my top 100 at the moment, coming off a complete game shutout against USC in the Super Regional. The numbers for Ryan Lynch haven't necessarily made that leap that you want to see in a player's platform year, but he is a draft eligible sophomore, so just his second year. Has a really good fastball and can really spin a slider, and he throws strikes. Jake Schaffner at 83, borderline elite hit tool, hits the ball all around the field. There might be some extra power in there as well as he continues to grow. And then he's showing more and more of an ability to stick at shortstop at the next level. The arm might be the only thing that limits him, but a really good athlete and will be a big part of this North Carolina team looking to take home the title in Omaha. Jason DeCaro, briefly mentioned him. He is a junior, but he just turned 20, so he is super young for the class, which will play in his favor. Throws 2 distinct breaking balls, throws a changeup that's improving. The fastball sitting mid-90s. And then just another strike thrower, which is another theme in this year's draft class. A guy that I'm becoming more and more confident in being a day 1 pick. You got a couple interesting bats as well. Owen Hull, who has been as hot as anybody in the tournament right now, hit 4 doubles in that final game against USC, which included the walk-off to send North Carolina to Omaha. He's in his first season in the ACC, George Mason transfer. The bat is really coming around, tapping into power. The bat-to-ball skills have improved. Then you've got Gavin Gallagher, second baseman, might have the athletic and defensive upside to play shortstop. Obviously, Jake Schaffner's there. Another really well-rounded bat. The stat line doesn't necessarily pop for Gallagher, but when you get under the hood, there's definitely some tools there that make him an intriguing draft prospect. And then catcher Macon Winslow kind of rounds out this North Carolina draft class. Very sound defensively, should stick behind the plate, and has got some power in the bat to complement the defensive skills. So North Carolina is definitely a team you want to keep an eye on if you're interested in digging into some of these draft prospects in Omaha. Moving on to Troy. Unfortunately for the Trojans, you're not going to find many draft prospects on this team, which isn't rare for a mid-major. Obviously, a talented roster that was good enough to make it to Omaha. A lot of older players on this roster, not much professional upside. However, I do want to highlight a name for next year's draft class, the 2027 class. Jimmy Janicki, sophomore catcher. This is the most talented player on Troy, projected first rounder next year. Just a really well-rounded bat. It's above average contact skills, it's above average power, potential for plus, and he's showing the ability to stick behind the plate defensively, and he'll get another year to show that in 2027. Jimmy Janicki, keep an eye on him. I've said it before, it's becoming a theme in Omaha this year. This year's tournament is loaded with catchers that you are going to be able to see play at the professional level. And Jimmy Janicki is just another one in a loaded crop of catchers this year. Speaking of 2027 guys, West Virginia's Gavin Kelly, another projected first round bat in next year's draft. And another catcher, believe it or not. He did split time between catcher and second base for West Virginia this year. Who's not to say he takes over catching full time next year for West Virginia. I'm one of these athletes that can kind of play all over the diamond. And then just another really special bat. It was a 1204 OPS this year as a sophomore, 17 home runs, walked more than he struck out. Definitely watch out for Gavin Kelly, the most talented player on this West Virginia roster. And then as far as the 2026 draft for West Virginia, left-handed starter Maxiel kind of headlines the class for them. Standing in at 6'6" and 235 pounds. Real starter's frame. Command has really come along this year. Dropped his walk rate from 13.3% last year to just 6.8% this year. Somewhat of an outlier sweeper. It's a mid to upper 80s sweeper with a lot of depth. And then his fastball is more of a sinker shape, low to mid 90s. So there's definitely some traits here that can suggest that Yale is going to be a starter at the pro level. He'll get at least one big start for West Virginia this week here in Omaha. And that will do it. Those are some of my top draft prospects for you to watch this week. If you're tuning in to the College World Series, make sure to check out my MLB draft board and also look out for Mock Draft 4.0 coming soon.